I'm still not in the right place. Okay, 1 second. Okay, yesterday we got to page Shin Samach Tes. So we're moving along. So now he says like this. Let's dive in with God's help. He says, Yuda Tika Sasin Besitrui. The word where he says the word Sitra means on the side. Os Yud de Eric Anpin. Let's take this letter Yud of Eric Anpin. Sason. They are hidden away or closed up. Him bekomo, heim bekomo. They're in their place, they're closed. Veheim betsido chutz de bekomo. And then there's also an element that's on its side, or adjacent to it in some way, which is outside of its place. What you mean to say is that this is not referenced in any other place. It's only there and it can't be found. Because it's an aspect of Chochmah and Law Stimah. What's the Chochmah and Law Stimah? This is the Mochas Stimah. The Erek Anpin Shehem Sasam Ma'od, which is very, very hidden away and not findable. Begin Shema Lo Ishtakach. So therefore, if, let's say, it was possible to find Eric Anpin, you couldn't find the Chavaya in there. Because it's really secreted away. Only do you see that as it comes through, which he said previously, through the beard of Eric Anpin, that is the shefa that's coming from the Mochas Stimah, where it attaches to Abba Ve'ima, Maskil Gilu Shem Havaya. That's where you have the beginning of the name Havaya. Just 1 second. I want to knock over that tea again like I did that one day. Now let's see. Shem Havaya, who rock Bezer Anpin. Ve'elo Iker his Galo Shem Havaya, who rock Bezer Anpin. And this is what we're talking about. The name is elsewhere. That is, it's in a sealed place. Goes through the beard, goes through Abba Ve'ima, and then comes and it will be manifest in Zer Anpin. But before that, you don't even see a hint of it. Now let's take the letter Hey, the Eric Anpin. Eric Anpin apparently has these letters within him, Hine, or something like that. That even we understand that letters are all contained inside of this hidden place called the Mochas Stimah. The mist, even though it's holed up in there, the Eric Anpin, beside Milch Binab, and there it's considered that Hey is the origin, I would say, of the Milch Binab. So now he tells a fact. You can call this, so in other words, the Mochim, the Mochim are there. The essence of the Mochim, in Kozach Ein Ha'oz Hey Sasim Rak Ein Ha'oz Hey Sasim Rak Lamala B'Makom Mochas Stimah. So that's the place, the only place it sounds like that it's really closed up. But Oz Hey Hazan Niftach V'Nizgalda B'Makom Acher, but the Hey itself opens up and it becomes revealed in another place. V'Chayle B'Nikveh Oznayim the Eric Anpin. And where is that? Let me see. I got this wrong here. That is in the mikveh is not in the ear holes, the Eric Anpin. Shenim shachim sham oros muach abina shal mochas stimah, because into the ears is where you see the of the hay that come from the mochas stimah. The in keep b'srim mukvin, and it makes holes. On the stimas os hay, and befriend the fact that, well, he says the closed up nature of the letter hay, the mochas stimah on this card. Nikiv, it makes a hole, it bores a hole. The niftach v'gam came b'shnei nikveh chotim the Eric Anpin. It also opens up, so I guess it means it bores the hole in the ear. Is that what we meant? And he says that, but not only that, but it also makes the nostrils. He said nikveh chotim the Eric Anpin. The os hey the Eric Anpin nizgala gam b'chotim. So there's two places where the hay is revealed. He says one is in the ear and the other one is in the nose. The ishtar b'tikkunim. because it's also revealed over there in the two nostrils of the nose, and it is related to the fact that there are 7 tikkunim in the face of Eric Anpin, which is 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nose, 2 nostrils, and a mouth. So he says, now let's look at the letter Vav, is petach ba'achra. It also opens up in another place. Oz Vav, which is hidden in the Mochas Limah, the Eric Anpin, shenichla v'nista b'Mochas Limah, the Eric Anpin, bebechinas moach hadas. And so now we understand that the das, which represents the beginning, let's say, of the of manifestation in Zair Anpin, but it represents the middle line. He said, bebechinas b'moach hadas, niftach, it also opens up in this gala b'makom acher and is revealed elsewhere. Behind the b'makom peh, the Eric Anpin, that this das reveals itself in the mouth of Eric Anpin, ki hadas gonus b'peh, because the das is hidden inside of the mouth. That is the das of the Mochas Limah is hidden inside of the mouth, so it has something to do with, I guess, speaking and breathing. The Chech is like Lashon of the palate. It has something to do with the mouth, like a good wine. Holech l'dodi, the Mishayim is to go straight into my dodi, to my lover, Kolomer. Bechech shuhu toicha peh. So let's talk about the palates in your mouth. Gone is a das. That's where you find the das, shuhu bekinas yayin the tov, which is the concept of a real good wine. That goes straight. Bekavim soy, straight down the middle line. So that's we used to talk about the tongue before. I thought it's like the concept of the balancer that's in the middle. So he said, what's that? So hadas hanikra butzanudakardanusa. Now I had to stop there because the butzanudakardanusa I always thought refers to gavuros, because this is the concept of contraction. Here he says now the middle line is called by that name, and it runs through the mouth. And what does it do? It becomes out of the mouth, right? And when it comes out of the mouth, it closes up the mouth of Eric Anpin. And it says further, now all of this I'm not sure that I really understand what he meant by closing up the mouth of Zair Anpin, so we have to learn on. Let's take this idea now. The vav that you find inside of Eric Anpin in the Mochas Limah. Since it's a vav up above and there's a vav down below, they join together. Because this is the concept of das, hamispashet the mata besov kavamida, which goes down as a balancing line. So that is, so now that was the vav. So the vav goes down through the middle, and it winds up being manifest in Zair Anpin. Hey la'ela, hey l'tzata. Let's look at these two. V'chein oz hey el yoyna de Eric Anpin mischaveres b'oz hey tachton de Zair Anpin. It joins itself to the lower hey of Zair Anpin. So this is, how is this true? How does this happen? Because we said there's opening of the ears, the aznaim I meant, in the nose, so this has an influence. Now there's a yud hidden inside, that's the Chochmei law. It never leaves. It's only found in the Mochas Limah. And that's interesting. It doesn't join together, doesn't radiate out from that place, or it's in any way into Zair Anpin. It doesn't manifest there. It never goes out. And even though the vav, now let me see. Let's talk about the Yud Kate Vav of Zair Anpin. It actually is connected, and this is your elevator, right? This is the idea of being able to take the Vav and riding that middle line. The same thing happens with the hay. The hay goes back, that is the hay of Malchus, which we have seen over here, is related to the hay of Bina. And so therefore they have the ability to travel up and down. The Oz Yud, the Zair Anpin, it doesn't go up to the original Chochmah in the Mochas Timah, it doesn't connect over there. Bar Remiza the Remazim, only with the most slight hint. V'rak b'derek remes, only through a hint. He says, ma'at, a little bit of a hint. Mischaveres Oz Yud the Zair Anpin in Oz Yud Elyona the Erik Anpin. That's where you see that these letters go together. In other words, it's only hinted at. Behind al Yedecha ba'aros gavan alovan, that is, let's think like this, that the whiteness, the color of the whiteness, the Eni Erik Anpin, of the eyes of Erik Anpin, V'komoshi is bar lochalon, and we're going to explain the eyes of the Erik Anpin have a relationship down with Zair Anpin, those Yud to Yud. So now we're going here, is Galian Trin. At the time that the two eyes of Zair Anpin are revealed, behind the that is when the eyelids open, which is the covering that covers over the eyes, it's the eyelid. And then the eyes open, and why do they open? They open in order to be able to look at the whiteness that's coming out of the eyes of Erik Anpin. And when that happens, there is a unity there, there's a combining into one level. So then we see the blessing of the eyes of Zair Anpin, because now you have a match. Now previously it said that the hay, that the Yud does not have a direct representation that up above and when it's manifest down below. So I'm not sure how that works, and now we're talking about other letters and how they work out. The Erik Anpin, we're over here at the eyes, so what actually happens in those eyes of Erik Anpin is that since they're both white, there is like one eye. So that the left eye joins itself into the right eye, into one big eye. Just imagine looking at two eyes or white shining lights, and then the two lights come together. Because everything actually is together to begin with in whiteness. And now when this whiteness is revealed in the eyes of Erik Anpin, it's for the purpose of shining into Zair Anpin. He says, Chad Rigsha, so now there's a sense of this just being one color. Shall Gavanim Shachar Edom Yarak, of this is going to be, let me see how this goes, of the three colors that you find in Zair Anpin, which are black, red, and green. Shall Eine Zair Anpin, which are the eyes of Zair Anpin. So let's look at it like this. The black one represents leftovers, dregs, things of the taikif adin, and really the real power of punishment. Because when there's a revelation of this whiteness, the Eini Erik Anpin, the Eini Zair Anpin, and now Erik Anpin is what we are always striving for, is to bring Erik Anpin, to be able to see the eyes of Erik Anpin, to look at that whiteness, they have a whiteness, look at us. He says that Erik Anpin, the Eini Zair Anpin, is looking at that then. They're looking at each other. Azai Shara Gavanim Elim Yarek Shachal Eini Zair Anpin, Nerchatz, and they bathe, and mislav them to become enlightened, begavan alav, they element with that whiteness. So the whiteness has the ability, just like you said, that it's really a right and a left eye, but they're only really one eye of whiteness. And then the same thing happens down below. It takes the red and the black, and it makes them all white, and it becomes incorporated in the whiteness. Let's talk about the black. It's in the pasuls of things that are no good, the leftovers, the dregs. It's impossible for it to be incorporated into the garments, into the whiteness. So apparently the red gets nullified by the whiteness, and the green, but not the black. Begin his parsha. The fish also the his parsha for the pirate mishar gavona, because the black doesn't want to go along with the group. So that when this blackness separates, it makes a tremendous commotion. So this is also this concept of the sound of the voice. What is his word? He says the Rosh shall kol hanishma, this voice which is heard from one end of the world to the end of the one end to the other end of the world. And explains further. The Vav and the Daled Kalila B'Yud. He says, Ki Yishar HaGavonim. Let's look at it like this. All of the rest of the Gavonim, the Hainu Gavan Yarak, he's talking about the red, green rather, the Gavan Ed and the red, the Ein Zair Anpin. Heim Sel Chesedim the Gevuros the Das. What are they in fact? They represents that is the red color represents the Gevuros the Das, and the green color, what's the other one? The green color represents the Chesedim the Das. And the Mazah Ba'osias Vav Daled Shal Milu Yud. So they're actually represented by that. So if you look at it like this, then the Yud is going to represent Abba V'ima in some way. And then the V'os Yud Vav Daled breaks down Atzma Hu So Gavan the Lov and the Elyon. So this is the secret of the white color up above. And so now what you're doing is you're putting it together with the letter Yud, Ki, Gavani, Yarak, Ve'ed, and let's take those two, red and green. Shehim said Milui Vav Daled, and we said that we compared that these two colors is also part of the Milui of the letter Yud, which is the Vav and the Daled. The Vav is the male part, which would be, the green, and the Daled would be the female part, which would be the red. And the Slavdin, they become whitened. And they become a part of the whiteness. So os yud vav daled. In other words, the vav and the daled, which were separated from the yud, now become a part of the yud. So the yud what represents whiteness. That light that's coming out of the eyes of Eric Anpin, who beside chachma, it's element of chachma. You have to have chachma to reproduce. Because it comes out of the Mukhsima, the Eric Anpin. So that these are these phrases. It's the Yam Chachma Elyon. That's what it is. That's this Mukhsima. It's full of whiteness. Because this whiteness is like bleach. And it causes everything to become white. So now, at the time of Brahmanas, when the eyes of Eric Anpin are going to be revealed, he said, so let's look at the eyes of Zair Anpin. He says there's an upper yud that's inside of the eyes of Zair Anpin now. So apparently the energy that comes from that whiteness is now inside of the eyes of Eric Anpin. Az gam mocha hachachma de Zair Anpin. So then you see where the muach hachachma, the right brain of Zair Anpin, meir begavan lovim. So it picks up this whiteness, the chachma, because chachma is a line of chesed. So it picks up this whiteness, and now it's inside of the eye of Zair Anpin, besod os yud tachton, which is the secret of this yud, the lower yud. So now what happens is all of the rest of the colors, which are green and red, Shahim Sod Chesadim the Gevuros, which we said are really the secret of the Chesadim and Gevuros that are in the middle line, the Muach HaDaz, the Muach HaChachma. So the sentence was that the Das itself, which is red, which has the two colors, one of the colors is the color red. I guess he meant the red and the green. The Das B'Mor is all whitened by the Muach HaDaz. So he says Muach HaChachma, rather, the whiteness that's now inside the eye. Besod his colorless osias milu vav daled. How does this happen? Because the vav and daled, which represent these two other colors, red and green, he says that milu, now this vav daled joins itself up with the letter yud. It never looks like that, but it's really all combined into one element, which is the yud, the vav, and the daled, the red and the green are now in the yud. The Yud Tachton, and that's the lower Yud of the Ruach HaChochma in Zair Anpin. But let's go back to the black again. It never matches up and never is able to be absorbed, or what's the right word, incorporated into the whiteness, which is the Ruach HaChochma. We see that it's coming from this letter Yud. It's not going to combine with it. Now he says why? Because the concept of blackness, its root is in the concept of Bina. Now, how's this work? Bina is also known as a border, or a depth. I guess that's what it is, not Tehum, it's Tehum. So it's something deep. Shehi sod os hay, which is the secret of the hay. The after the Gavin the Shachar b'socha os hay, so it's impossible for the hay by itself, lihislavan, to become whitened, lihiskala b'gavin alavan, and to become whitened in this whiteness is coming from the eyes of Zair Anpin into the eyes of Zair Anpin, shall os yod, or goes into the moach, inside of the head of Zair Anpin, into his eyes. Anyway, alavan shall os yod, v'lechem is parish gavin the shachar min yam ha'chochma. Now he says, so therefore it separates itself from this yam ha'chochma. The Yored, the Shoshach, the Bina. So it goes down to its root, that is, the hay finds its root in this deep place in Bina. Va'oz, and then, so therefore, Va'oz means Oler Regish, and when this happens, and the hay falls, and I really don't understand the metaphor 100%, so just reading along here until I can pick up something. Va'oz means Oler Regish, because then when when the hay falls into the, let's say, the depth of Bina, then a noise, a sound is heard, a commotion. There's a tremendous commotion in this deep place. And the voice itself, because of the noise that's coming out with the appearance of this hay inside of the depth of Bina, but in talking about dinim and as a result of that, it sweetens all the rest of the dinim that are, I guess, found there of all the other colors. Messiah vai wo oi kad nistalakai oi lehis latachtanim kasher bezera begavan lovin shall yud elyon the Zair Anpin. Woe if the situation is that the yud that comes from Zair Anpin, the yud that's inside of Zair Anpin, nistalak, it leaves, it goes up and leaves the plate. It says Eini Zair Anpin, and it stops bathing and stops shining into the eyes of Zair Anpin. There's Galvin in the Falkim Eini Zair Anpin, and then what we see is that the eyes of Zair Anpin open up. And now you start to see the Edom, Shachar, and Yarak, that the other lights are now back in business. Shall Eini Zair Anpin, which I think you would say is the lights of judgment, because in some way is it right side, left side, middle side, can be balanced it out, but all of that tension from this Rash is now coming. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about opening up the eyes of Zair Anpin, the raw for bad things. Let's go on. Goes over here and it says Busmim Afapayim Yavine Enaim. So the eyelids, let's go back to that. The eyelids of Zair Anpin, Hanikroim Besamim, they're called by the name of incense. Kihem Holokim below Sa'aros. Why? Because the eyelids themselves have no hairs on them and they're bare, they're smooth. The tipsa, now here's another unusual word. He said it's Lashon Tofes, I think. So he says they climb up and then they climb down. So he said, so the the eyelids, right? They open and close. They go up, they go down. Niftachim v'nistamim. So they open and they close. V'chozim the niftachim, then they go back and they open and they close again. V'nistamim v'smidos. This is always, we blink. So it's always the way that it goes. Shrikim lo avri. So this is where shrikim, he said, Amnam, and now let's look at the eyelids. What happens to them? They go up at the time that the eyes of Zair Anpin are open. V'hanayim arosin lehistakel l'mala are the ratios of lo isida. So when it opens up the eyes and starts looking upwards, it really wants us to reach the unknowable, the unknowable head of Atik Yamim. So then at this moment, these eyes are not able to pass through. What does he say? That he says the eyelids. They're not able to pass the eyebrow, Metzach, which is at the end of the, in other words, I guess they can't open up any more than that. I'm not sure what he means. And they cry shrieking. So he says the eyebrows are called shrieking. So that's the word for them. So when you lift up your eyes to look towards, you want to find the racial isida, and they cry because the eyebrow is actually the concept of a boundary. It's a boundary of the fa'afayim for the eyelids. So they shouldn't lift up too much. In other words, if there's no eyebrow there, then I guess you could roll your eyes, much higher. I'm not sure. So he says, he said, but the eyebrows are there, and they hold everything back. So the eyelids, they don't, what is it, misakvin? Yeah, misakvin, they're not held back even for a moment. But they keep blinking. Now. So now we have this concept. So he kind of switched, he just told us an Indian about the eyebrow, and it's got a bit hard to see how you could move your eyes up. It's hard for me to picture it. But at any rate, he talked about the eye, but now he moved over, though. And he came to him, he wants to talk about blinking. The hachai is ratzav v'shuv, and this blinking is the concept, he says, another word where you can place this concept. The hachai is ratzav v'shuv. He says, in other words, they're going back and forth. That's blinking. So when they're open, so they're running. But then they come back and they close up again. Stop. So they're constantly blinking. That's it. But the pasuk is speaking over here. Now let's start piecing this down now. He says, because what we're talking about here, we're talking about the eyes of Zair Anpin. He says the Mochin de Zair Anpin, Mochin de Zair Anpin, Hanikroim Chayos. So the Mochim are called the Chayos of Zair Anpin. The fish because they're alive. The concept being alive. And that's the secret of the concept. When we use the word Chaya, we want to say that these are life forces in some way, or division life forces, I'm not sure. As the Mochin de Zair Anpin, they start looking upwards. They start looking up towards the ratio of lo isida. Then they come into this category of back and forth. Because it's not possible to stay there. You can't cling to that place. It sounds like everything has to do with spirituality in this world. It's temporary. So therefore we say the eyelids are called by this name too. Why? The more of what's going on in the eyes depends on what's going on in the mochin. Which is the chayos. So therefore the thoughts, let's see this again, the ideas follow depends on what you're thinking. So the eyes follow your thoughts. Like the Rabbi Memram says, is that what you're thinking about is who you are. So that this is what it says here. That the eyelids, which are called chayos, so their idea is always going back and forth. They're trying to reach to the high level, but they can't, and they come back. Or they can't reach it 100%, but they keep trying. So let's say he wants to keep it from the eyes from clothing. And leave if he wants to sleep for a moment, just leave the eyes open. It says this pasuk on him, run away to your place, get away. They're going to go back to their place. And they'll do that, even though if let's say that you wanted to keep them up, they'll close. The Indian is like this. So let's say that the thought, that is, I guess, your intention, must see more than he's supposed to be able to see. That's when this pasuk comes back and says, Shuv, go back, the makom arishin, to the first place. So now this is his metaphor. Zair Anpin, the eyes of Zair Anpin now, he really needs, I guess, let's say maybe he really needs to see the Rosh of Zair of emotion, but the eyebrow stops him from looking all the way up. So in other words, he can't get to a full 90 degrees or 180 degrees from where he's normally at. It's cut short. Then it says like this from Ovadia. He says, "Ki in tagvia kanesha." You lift him up, you're going to be an eagle. Being bein koichlim, or you're going to be like between the stars. Sim kinacha, put your stake there. Misham aridicha, because from there I'm going to start bringing you down. Kolomar. In Zair Anpin, a person wants to, that is Zair Anpin, he wants to get higher up than he's, it reminds me of Rabbi Nachman. He says, you have to do it according to who you are. You're not going to be an eagle here. Then he wants to get there. He wants to get to the Reish Lo Isyada. The nimshushin mistako the mali b'makom silas hagorgolas, but what he wants to see the hairs of the skull and make one kochanim, which are called stars. He says azayin emer emerlaf mishon aridicho, because that's why I said once you reach to that place, I'm going to bring you down. That's the highest you're going to get. Okay, I guess that's it for today. Thank you very much for learning with me, and Mitzvah Shem. I'll see you Yom Rishon.